My name is Sarah. If you had met me 3 years ago, you probably would have envied me. I certainly envied myself. I was 26, living in a penthouse in downtown Chicago, working as a marketing executive. I had the car, the clothes, the six-figure salary, and a calendar booked solid for the next 12 months. I was the architect of my own life. I believed that if I just worked hard enough, I could control everything. I thought I was invincible. But life has a way of humbling you when you stand too tall. It started on a rainy Tuesday. I was in my office reviewing a campaign when the world suddenly tilted. A sharp, blinding pain shot through my skull, and the next thing I knew, I was staring at the ceiling, surrounded by panicked colleagues. 3 days later, I was sitting in a cold, sterile room across from a senior oncologist. He was a man who had seen death 1,000 times, but he couldn't look me in the eye. "Sarah," he said, his voice quiet. "I'm sorry. It's glioblastoma. Stage 4. I remember laughing nervously. "Okay," I said. "So, when is the surgery?" He shook his head. "We can't operate. It's too deep. It's too aggressive." The silence that followed was heavier than anything I have ever felt. "How long?" I asked. "6 months," he whispered. "Maybe 8, if you're lucky." In 1 second, my entire world evaporated. My deadlines, my bank account, my 5-year plan, they all turned to dust. I walked out of that hospital with an expiration date stamped on my forehead. The first few weeks were hell. I locked myself in my apartment. I looked at my expensive designer bags and felt sick. They couldn't buy me 5 minutes of life. I screamed at the universe. I was an atheist. I didn't believe in God, which meant I believed I was about to disappear into nothingness. The darkness of that thought was suffocating. One afternoon, unable to bear the silence of my apartment, I went to a park. I sat on a bench, watching dead leaves fall, feeling like I was one of them. That's when I saw her. A woman was sitting nearby. She was wearing a hijab. She was reading a small book, and she had a look on her face that I couldn't understand. She looked at peace. How could anyone be at peace in a world this cruel? Desperate, I spoke to her. Her name was Fatima. I told her everything. I vomited my fear, my diagnosis, my anger onto her. She didn't give me fake hope. She didn't say, "You'll be fine." Instead, she looked at me and said, "Sarah, you are trying to carry the weight of the world, but you were not designed to carry it. God is." She spoke to me about Islam. She told me that my body is just a borrowed vessel, a trust. She told me that death is not the end, but a return. She introduced me to a concept called tawakkul, trusting the plan of the one who made you. "The doctors treat," she said, "but only Allah heals." I went home and opened the Qur'an. I expected rules. I found a conversation. I read the verse, "And when my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am near." I broke down. For the first time, I felt heard. I realized I wasn't fighting this battle alone. 2 months after my diagnosis, on my living room floor, I surrendered. I said the Shahada. I became a Muslim. I didn't do it to be cured. I did it because I needed to know that if I died, I was going to a merciful creator, not a black void. But then, everything changed. I stopped obsessing over the calendar. I started waking up at 3 a.m., not to cry in fear, but to pray tahajjud. I put my forehead on the ground and whispered, "Oh Allah, if living is better for me, let me live to worship you. And if death is better for me, take me when you are pleased with me." I changed my diet. I ate dates, black seed, honey. I forgave everyone who had ever hurt me. I cleansed my heart. The 6-month deadline came and went. I was still breathing. A year passed. I felt stronger. The headache stopped. 2 years passed. My family begged me to go back to the doctor. "Sarah, you look healthy," my mom said. "We need to know." I was terrified. I was living in a bubble of peace, and I was afraid the hospital would pop it. But I went. Lying in that MRI machine again, with the loud banging around my head, I didn't panic. I just recited the Qur'an in my mind. I felt safe. When I walked into the doctor's office for the results, it was the same doctor from 2 years ago. But he looked shaken. He was pale. He put 2 images on the light box. "Sarah," he stammered, "I've been an oncologist for 30 years. I know what cancer does. I know how this story ends." He pointed to the old scan, the dark mass in my brain. Then he pointed to the new one. It was clean, perfectly clean. "I can't explain this," he said, his voice trembling. "The tumor isn't dormant. It's gone. No scar tissue, no trace. It's as if it was never there." He looked at me with wide eyes. "What did you do? What drug did you take?" I smiled, tears rolling down my face. I thought of those nights on my prayer mat. I thought of the surrender. "Doctor," I said softly, "I didn't take a new drug. I used a prescription that was written 1,400 years ago." I walked out of that hospital that day not just as a survivor, but as a witness. They told me I had an expiration date. They told me my time was up. But they forgot one thing. They don't hold the clock.